Today we're doing something a little different because we have some exciting news. We have finally written a cookbook. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that we love food, we love to eat, I love to cook, and we both truly believe that eating wins races and that it is possible to have a healthy, non-neurotic relationship with food and fuel your goals and dreams as an athlete. This project has been a long time in the making. I believe I wrote the first few recipes in 2019 and then scrapped the entire idea. We came back to it in the fall of 2022, thinking, okay, we're gonna spend 6 months working on a cookbook, publish it as an ebook in early 2023. I believe we even told some people we were going to do that, and well, here we are. It is almost 2025 and we finally have our cookbook finished. It definitely ballooned into a bigger project. I believe we have over 30 recipes. We have photos from our wonderful friend Kyle Ludebauer, who I cannot thank enough for doing this photo shoot with us. This cookbook is part recipes, part a little bit our food philosophy and how we look at healthy eating and how we fuel our rides. We talk a little bit about how to optimally refuel after big rides and the kind of meals that we use for that, things that we can make super quickly when we're tired or things that we can prepare beforehand so that we have food immediately when we're done riding. We also have a whole chapter on using up leftovers and sort of transforming one meal to another meal so that you can cut down on food waste and most importantly, always have something to eat when you are hungry after a big ride. That looks amazing. All right, we got last night's leftovers.
How's it?
It has been a ton of fun putting together our favorite recipes and also sharing kind of the tips and tricks we do to make sure that we are fueling our rides at the right time, that we have enough fuel on board to ride well and train well. We've also recruited our dietitian, Dina Griffin, the nutrition mechanic, and throughout the cookbook you will find notes from her on how to optimally fuel your workouts. You can find the cookbook at eatingwinsraces.com. It is an e-cookbook. We decided this was the best way to just get this out there. To be honest, doing a print version was a little beyond us at this point in time. And for today's video, we decided we would do something a little bit different and cook one of our recipes in the style of our other channel, Sid Fixes Bikes, but with the roles reversed. So join us. Mackie is gonna make one of my recipes while I hover behind the camera and tell him what to do.
Welcome to the kitchen. I'm Mackie, Sid's on the camera. Today we will be making salmon tacos with cabbage slaw and jalapeno crema. For this task, you will need mayo.
Don't start with the mayo. That's like a tablespoon of mayo and the whole thing, and you're like, mayonnaise!
I think this is good. This is very valuable for both of us to be in swapped positions so we can see what it's like. For this task, you will need a pound of salmon, some Creole seasoning, Greek yogurt, mayonnaise, limes, purple cabbage, a beet, some jalapenos, cilantro, corn tortillas, salt, various bowls, a peeler, a knife, tongs, a cutting board, a mini food processor, olive oil, a baking sheet, and a frying pan.
This seems like too many things, and I'm doubting all of my recipes.
And an onion.
Technically only a quarter of an onion.
So, what do I do first?
First, we're gonna put the salmon in the oven.
So first we're going to preheat the oven to something.
Ooh, I forget, like 375 probably. The secret is it doesn't matter. But because we wrote a cookbook, I now have to care about things like oven temperatures. But I lived for a while in a house with an oven that didn't have a temperature gauge, and you know what? Shit still got cooked. 400, 375, same diff.
On here, I assume? I didn't know if I was supposed to spice it first.
We are big fans of any kind of spice blend. I love Creole seasoning, and Creole seasoning on salmon is awesome. You can cook your salmon like this as a full main dish on top of a rice bowl, like anything, but I also think it's very delicious in a taco.
Half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon. And I played around with like doing some other seasoning things for these tacos, and nothing was as good as the Tony's. So here we are. The thing with salmon is don't overcook it.
So I just sprinkled it on. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Do your thing.
We're gonna start with 10 minutes. Obviously this depends on the thickness of your salmon. And we're gonna use a meat thermometer, which we also forgot to talk about in the beginning. But here's the deal. These things used to be kind of expensive. I think you can get a decent functional one on Amazon for like $15 now.
I think it's even less than that.
Maybe less. There's kind of no excuse, honestly. If you eat meat or fish or anything, like, it's so much easier. It eliminates the guesswork. It just makes for better food. We are not sponsored by Thermapen, but we would be open to it.
Now that the salmon is in the oven, what are we doing next?
Let's, well, okay, so we cheated here a little bit, and I grilled our jalapenos earlier because you can just broil them while you preheat the oven, but our broiler makes a racket that was gonna interfere with the audio for this video. So I put them on the grill, then we put them in a little plastic bag.
So my jalapenos magically became grilled jalapenos.
Basically, you just wanna char them a little bit and then put them in a bag, and then the skin will start to peel off really easily. If you're a wimp, you can wear gloves for this, but
if you plan to touch your eyeballs anytime in the near
if you
future,
wear contacts and like to live on the wild side like me, don't wear gloves. The thing with spicy peppers is the seeds and the veins are where the spice is. So depending on your spice tolerance.
I can smell these, which means they are spicy. So I'm gonna take out most of the seeds.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a long running argument about this, but because he's doing it right now, he's in charge.
That's right.
So I'm just gonna sit back and let him remove all of the good stuff. It's fine. Now we're gonna whiz up these jalapenos with 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt.
Forgot to mention measuring spoons.
Yeah, well, I would never use a measuring spoon for this, so it's cool. Measuring spoons and torque wrenches live in the same circle of hell to me.
Okay, 3/4 of a cup.
3/4 of a cup of yogurt. I love a good yogurt sauce. And I used to do a lot of sauces with sour cream and mayo, and you know what? If you have the rest of your flavor profiles down, you can do non-fat Greek yogurt and just like a little bit of mayonnaise, and it's truly just as good and more protein, healthier overall. We're still gonna do a little bit of mayo because I do love some mayonnaise, but the reality is like you don't want the sauce to taste, at least I don't want the sauce to taste super mayonnaise-y.
Oh, I just licked my finger. That's a hot jalapeno.
It'll be fine.
Okay, that's a hot one, guys. Glad I took out the seeds that I did.
A hot tip, you can use only one jalapeno if you're really a wimp. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of mayo in there.
It was a healthy one. Okay.
Start with half a lime. I feel like lime juice and salt for any sort of sauce is always just something you wanna adjust as you go.
So we're starting with half a lime.
Well, these limes are huge. If you have a tiny lime, do a whole lime. Yeah. The other day, the grocery store only had key limes. It was really annoying. I had to juice like 12 limes for one thing that I was making.
lime squeezer as well.
You definitely don't need a lime squeezer, but it is nice. Yeah. That's pretty good.
I get to taste it. I'm the one cooking.
You're just gonna be like, it tastes spicy. It's pretty spicy.
It actually is quite spicy.
That's good though.
It's good, but it's definitely spicy.
Those are pretty hot jalapenos, I will give you that. That's the trouble with jalapenos, to be honest, is like sometimes they're literally just sad green bell peppers, and sometimes they will like kick you in the ass. You were probably right to not do the seeds on that one, I will give you that.
So what Sid is saying is, depending on your spice tolerance, start with no seeds and veins, blend it up, taste it, and then if you want more spice, you can add, because you can't remove.
Just taste a little bit of your jalapeno.
I could smell the jalapeno.
Okay. All right, well that's the thing, is you can tell before. All right, we're gonna make a little cabbage slaw.
Cabbage slaw.
But just to make it a little bit more fun, we're gonna add a beet. So step one, we're gonna peel the beet, which is fun.
I assume that means cut off its...
Yeah, we'll cut off its tail.
And head.
And head. This is the fun part. Don't put that on the counter because it will probably stain our countertops.
Try not to slice your fingers off while you do this. Which I think is the whole idea behind peelers, is that you can't do that, but...
Oh, you can definitely slice yourself with a peeler.
Yeah. I'm bleeding!
Slice some onion.
Slice an onion.
So instead of cutting it...
So like this much?
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay, excellent.
Well, it's hard to cut it finely when you do it like that. So go ahead and chop here and pull off the...
Skin.
Yeah.
Skin removed.
And then slice super thinly back from there, probably about... No.
Like halfway, but halfway.
Yeah, but don't cut it in half first, because
understand.
it's going to make it twice as hard to slice finely, because you'll be holding a small thing. Struggling.
Why?
It's hard to be behind the camera. Do you want a tip or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. This. So if you want to be faster, you want to keep your fingers under, right? So you're not cutting them off, but you can still guide with like your knuckles. So then you can, I don't usually lean as far over the counter to do this as I am right now. And this is more onion than we need, but we're doing a demo. See how much faster that was? I wouldn't say I have great knife technique. I have watched a lot of YouTube videos though, so. Something I like to do whenever I'm making a slaw or a salad that I'm gonna dress in the bowl is, and if we're using raw onions, is put the raw onions in some acid first, and for today we are using limes. So Mackie's gonna put that other half lime in there. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and do a whole other of these big limes, because we're gonna put a bunch of cabbage and beet in there, and beet is super earthy. Some people think it tastes like dirt. I love beets, so I don't agree with that, but like it needs the lime for sure.
So then you add the lime, which cuts that flavor, is that correct?
Well, the lime's doing a couple of things here. So putting your raw onions in acid is a technique called maceration that basically is just, I don't really understand the science of what it's doing, but it will make it cut down that, really intense onioniness.
Okay.
And make it nicer to eat raw. Toss in our salt now. Basically, this is just gonna be our dressing for this whole slaw thing that we're making.
Slaw.
It's just lime juice, but honestly, lime juice can go a long way. Grate the beet, which is fun because it creates what looks like a murder scene.
We forgot that we needed a grater also.
Yeah, well.
Don't grate your finger.
I mean, I think it's just give up at some point. You know what I mean?
I'll never give up.
Right? Like you grate your finger when you try to do what you're doing right now, which is get every last nub in.
I got it.
Well, there you go.
Thanks.
Good work.
You're supposed to say good job.
All right, so now we're gonna go in with the cabbage. And you can make this slaw beforehand too, and it actually gets better for like up to a day, I would say. So you could box grate the cabbage if you wanted. I don't love how it turns out when you do that. It's too like chunky, and I'm a control freak, so I like to slice, but if you can't slice thinly, grate it.
Are we throwing shade over here?
I love cabbage for a few reasons, and one of them is like, it's like a fresh, nice vegetable, but also one that doesn't go bad quickly in the fridge.
So I'm guessing that you want me to cut it this way.
Yeah.
Are we doing all of this half cabbage?
I think I said 3 cups of shredded cabbage.
Okay, don't chop off the knuckles. Also, don't chop off the fingers.
You're actually doing pretty good.
Thank you.
I would really suggest working on making cutting and chopping things faster, especially if you like want to eat more vegetables and more stir fries and more soups and all these things. Like if you are fast at chopping, all these things are like not that stressful and not that time consuming. If you have dull knives and it takes you a long time to cut things, everything will take longer. So that is one of the tips that is in the cookbook, is that...
That was too thick.
That was a little thick, yeah. It's okay. So you might want to flip it now at this point.
Oh.
Working on your knife skills, you don't have to be like super fancy. You don't need super expensive knives.
Okay, that's about 3
That's
cups.
about right. So let's give that a toss with the tongs.
Tongue
And
toss.
it's probably about time to check the salmon. Oh, I think there's some cilantro in this too, which is optional if you're a cilantro tastes like soap person,
Which we are not.
which we are not. This is half a bunch, but depends a bit how much you like cilantro. I mean, I think you might want to get your bunch a little tighter to begin with, was sort of my thought there. And again, like the claw finger. This is a little bit personal preference. I like my herbs chopped up pretty chopped, pretty consistent, because nobody wants like a whole leaf in their mouth unless you're eating a salad. Basically, nobody wants a whole leaf of cilantro. But if you do, then power to you. That's pretty good. Pull it.
What's the minimum temperature?
145. But basically, when you pull out your piece of meat or fish or whatever, it will continue to rise up temperature. It's going to go up in temperature? What are you trying to say here? We'll continue to go up in temperature. You can pretty much guarantee 5 degrees, maybe 10 degrees. Basically, it's going to be fine. We're not going to get salmonella. And now we're going to fry some tortillas. We're just going to fry these in some olive oil because that's what we have. That, I just realized, was for more than 2 tortillas, which we're gonna do 2 tortillas right now, but that's okay.
We'll do 4 tortillas.
There's nothing like a fried tortilla taco situation. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. This was a little excessive. This recipe was written for that amount of oil for 8 tortillas. Could use a fish spatula for this. It would probably be easier, but here we are.
Here we are. It's not what we did.
Definitely seen people remove the skin before they bake the salmon, but I'll be honest, I think the skin helps a little bit from overcooking it, and it's just like so much easier to just pull it off the skin when it's cooked as opposed to wrestling it off the skin.
Plus, if you like salmon skin,
right,
then you still get to eat the salmon
and
skin.
I only like salmon skin when it's super crispy, so I don't eat it when it's cooked like this. You could pull it off after you cook it, put some oil on it, throw it back in the oven if you wanted to do that.
Could you cook it upside down? Does that work?
I don't know how that would go with the Cajun seasoning on there, but I have cooked salmon upside down in different contexts. Oh, your drizzle is not
up to snuff. Okay, I'll try to do a better drizzle on part 2.
It's okay. Luckily, we don't run a food channel. All it has to do is taste good. Let's do a little close up. It's not an easy thing to eat and look pretty on camera. It's really good though.
And here's how to make salmon tacos with cabbage, slaw, and jalapeno crema in 1 minute. Broil the jalapenos. Once they're charred, place in a bag and turn the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the salmon on a baking sheet, sprinkle with Creole seasoning, and bake for 10 to 15 minutes. While the salmon is baking, peel the jalapenos, remove the stems, seeds, and veins, and blend in a mini food processor with the Greek yogurt, mayonnaise, lime juice, and salt. Finally, slice the red onion and place it in a bowl with lime juice and salt. Then peel and grate the beet, finally slice the red cabbage, and chop the cilantro. Add to the macerated onions and toss. Check the salmon with an instant read thermometer. Once it reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit in the thickest part, remove from the oven. Fry the corn tortillas in oil, then build your tacos. Enjoy.
Look at them.